I cannot believe this is already the 14th episode. It truly feels like I released the first one just yesterday, but I think that speaks a lot of volumes and says a lot of good things. I've been really enjoying this show so far, and I hope you have too. So, without further ado, welcome to Trying Times. My name is Carmen, and I'm your host, friend, and whatever you want to call me, just go for it. Normally, as I start each episode, I have a whole spiel that I go into of what this show is about and a bit about who I am. Well, this episode is going to be about the fact that I am tired. So we're not going to go into any of that other stuff today. Starting this off very honest, as we always should, and as necessary, I think I just want to be very lax today. I feel like that's how every episode normally goes, but today's is physically just about being tired, mentally being tired. So that's what we're going to go into. So this could go one of two ways. I could share that I'm tired, and then this ends. Or I could elaborate and say more about this theme of an episode, and then that would actually create an episode. So clearly we're going to go with the second option here, if that wasn't obvious, because if I stopped this at I'm tired, well then there's no episode, and that would literally be it. It just essentially would be a 2-second long audio clip with the title I'm tired. So whatever, I'm talking in circles now. But before I get further into this episode, I just wanted to say one thing. If you have been enjoying this show, or if this is your first time that you've ever listened, then please go ahead and like or follow this show wherever you are listening to right now so that you can be updated on when new episodes are released. Now, moving along. This one will be about a variation of stories that have taken place when I've been in a state of tired, if you will. A lot of fun things happen when I'm tired. So that's something to begin with. Well, there's actually a very recent story that took place, an occurrence, if you will. Something happened recently when I was on vacation, and I was not tired until this happened. That sounds weird, I'm aware, but just stick with me here. Basically, my best friend and I were going to have breakfast and then head out to shop a bit. So after we had breakfast, I came back to our hotel room to take some of my morning vitamins. Call me an old person if you want, okay, guys? I'm just trying to maintain my health here. It's fine. So I guess maybe somehow I crossed my wires, and one of my tablets that I was supposed to take in the morning is this tablet called GABA. Basically, that is something that is an excellent source of maintaining stress. It's this really, really wonderful thing that I've been taking for a little while, and it's just awesome. So it's this tablet I'm supposed to take. It just is a good thing to take first thing in the morning. So I take that in the mornings, but then I also have an evening tablet that I think I don't need to explain too much about, but it looks very similar to my GABA, except what my evening one is melatonin. I'm sure you can see where this is going. At the moment, I did not see where this was going because I thought my melatonin was not melatonin. I thought it was GABA. So, about half an hour passes, and I start to feel so exhausted, and I was like, damn, maybe I just didn't sleep well. You know, the day before we'd been traveling most of the day, and we were just so excited and then also really tired, and so I was like, maybe I just didn't sleep well. But then it got to a point while we're out just shopping where I felt like I was starting to get kind of dizzy, like I was in La La Land here. And I want to emphasize also that I was not driving on this trip. I was not at all handling any sort of machinery or vehicles in this state, and if I were, I definitely would have called an Uber or something because I would not ever get behind a wheel in this state. Just want to put that out there. So since I was feeling off, I didn't want to alarm my friend and be like, dude, I'm not feeling too good. Especially because this was our second day on vacation, our first vacation together, might I add. So I was not about to be like a damper and just be like, oh, I don't feel good. Like I feel tired and dizzy. I didn't want to freak her out, so I just kind of kept it to myself. And so I pushed through our shopping trip. We get back to our hotel, and then I was like, I had it in the back of my head to just double check my vitamins because I had a funny feeling about all of this. And so when I checked, I realized that I had indeed taken my melatonin instead of my other supplement. And then it just all made sense. And I was shook, and I just kind of froze. I felt stupid, but it's honestly a mistake a lot of people make sometimes. It's fine. But when it happened and I realized, I just kind of froze at my bag. And my friend was kind of just like, what's up? She could notice. And so I told her what happened, and she was very concerned. And I basically just had to be like, okay, hang in there with me. I'm gonna ride this out for the next 6 to 8 hours because it'll make me drowsy. And so I did that. And considering our plans for the rest of the day were literally just to sit on the beach and then eat later, like it was totally fine. It was very relaxed. And so thankfully, I was in that kind of a situation where I accidentally took melatonin and then I was allowed to just sit on a beach and relax. It could have gone much worse, but I 10 out of 10 would not recommend ever doing that. It was low-key terrifying. So there's the time I accidentally sedated myself, if you will. Also, I want to know if you've accidentally ever done this, because like I said earlier, I was kind of like, I felt so stupid for doing that I started Googling it, and it's something a lot of people have done by accident. And so if you regularly take melatonin, have you ever done this by accident and just taken it at the wrong point of the day before? Because it's brutal. It is not forgiving, but I got over it and it was fine. So there's that. Now the rest of the stories that I'm going to get into are just things that sometimes happen when I'm in an exhausted state, if you will. So the first one I'm going to get into is in relation to how I speak when I'm tired. That sounds funny. And I guess just how that level of tiredness really, really reflects in my style of speech sometimes. So sometimes if I feel overly stimulated or just as though maybe my brain has too many tabs open, I begin to stutter a lot. And that's a thing I've actually read about online before, where if someone is feeling too overwhelmed, it can affect the way that they speak sometimes. Because again, it's like having 1,000 windows open on a computer or a single window open with many, many tabs running at once. You can easily go into overdrive, and so that's just like a big thing. And also, before I carry on, I want to note that I'm also aware that there are a variety of existing speech impediments that also do naturally affect the way that some of us may speak. So when I talk about this, I don't mean to offend anyone. Again, it's something that I've noticed in myself, and I've looked it up online. Obviously, that's not scholarly resources all the time. But just because I do find it interesting how it affects many of us, and all in varying ways. So there's that. So naturally, during a stressful time, like for example, exam season in school, that would be a peak overstimulating kind of time where maybe I would stutter or just fumble words or deal with a lot more brain fog to a degree. And I think going off of this, another solid example of tiredness affecting my communication style and skills overall is when I have primarily heavy brain fog. Oh my God, I was going to say brain frog. Jesus. Okay. Which now that I've said this term twice in 10 seconds, I feel like I should define what it means prior to moving on in case you would like an actual definition of the word rather than just kind of guessing from the sound of it if you've never heard it before. So, in sum, brain fog is characterized as confusion, forgetfulness, and a lack of focus and mental clarity. So, I think this is something that we all experience at some point or another. And I think a very primary example of being when you just may be sick, like under the weather, because you're not able to focus at all, and furthermore exert energy, it just feels like such a task when you're sick to either focus, exert energy to do the simplest of tasks opposed to when we're feeling okay. So I think that's a big thing. And I think something I tend to do when experiencing bouts of this is that I'll think of something and then forget that I didn't actually say it out loud, which sounds weird. I'll give an example to build on this. So for instance, I could be hanging out with a friend, and let's say I love their outfit that day. I've already thought about it, and maybe a little while goes by, they might mention something about one of the pieces they're wearing and talk about whether the store they bought it from was their new favorite store, or just talk about why they love the piece so much generally, why it might have stood out to them. And then in that instance, I'll realize I most likely thought I complimented them, but in actuality, I had only thought the compliment and forgot to actually say it. Which will then prompt me to actually be like, oh crap, I didn't say this out loud, but I love that sweater, or I love those pants, or I love those earrings, whatever it is. It doesn't just have to be an outfit or a statement piece or whatever. It could be literally anything. Sometimes I just forget to say that out loud. I don't know why. So that's a fun thing, right? I think the last thing of all is also speech related, and fully something that my sister does as a way of teasing me. I say this with like PTSD because she wants to see if it'll pan out in the long term and be funny. This is fully just for her humor, I'd like to add. So she, my sister, God bless her, went through an experimental phase at a point in time where I'm just laughing thinking about it. She went through this experimental phase at a point in time where she would say certain words in a funny way to see if it would confuse me and then furthermore influence the way that I say them later on. Sounds like a fun time, right? Not for me. For her, it was very much so. I can laugh at it now thinking about it. In the moment, it always felt taxing. So for her, it was just great, and she got a lot of entertainment out of it. And basically what she did was she would mix up a couple letters in a word so that it sounded funnier. So for example, something like remote control, like for your TV, she would say marote. And so we'd be sitting on the couch or something, and then she'd be like, "Can you pass me the marote?" And I heard it the wrong way every time. And I was like, just say remote. And then eventually it worked because we were sitting together one time and I said, "Can you pass me the marote?" And she felt victorious. She was on top of the world in that moment. So there's that. But then she also did this with another word, the word being Snapchat, like the app we all know and kind of love, kind of hate. I don't know. I don't know where I stand on Snapchat anymore. It's just there. But that's a whole other thing. So instead of snap, it was snat. And instead of chat, it was chap. So she'd taken a few letters of the word and rearranged them so it sounded relatively the same, but not at all. So instead of Snapchat, it was Snatchap. And it drove me absolutely mental. So she would say this in spurts for a few days and then say it the normal way. And then finally, after a few weeks, it worked. It literally just took a few weeks and it worked. And so I was telling her about the snap I'd sent her on the app. And instead of saying Snapchat, I'd said Snatchat. And I wish I could recreate the look for you right now that she had on her face when she heard me say it for the first time. Because it was just like pure victory. And it was honestly hilarious. I couldn't even be mad. So all in all, being around me when I'm tired clearly seems to be pretty funny to everyone else except me. Except recapping this all now, it does sound pretty funny. So yeah, just going off of that, let me know if you've ever felt so tired that you can't talk or even do anything for that matter, because I feel that sometimes. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like it or follow the show. And if you want to keep this convo going, leave me a voicemail or shoot me a DM on Instagram at the Trying Times Podcast. So again, to leave a voicemail, click on the link in the show notes and start recording. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. I hope to hear from you soon, okay? Bye.